Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be doing some more Zen practice for the upcoming RTNs that I have this weekend. These, I think, are the only RTNs that we were actually able to go to, so excited to get some games, see if I can qualify. Currently no new changes to the list. Burdens of the Past has yet to do anything at this point, so I'm kind of considering cutting it, but I also haven't played a ton into Enigma, so I think that's like the matchup where this card really shines. But if any of y'all don't know, like finding Enigma games on Talishar is like profoundly difficult for some reason. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a deck that people only play in paper. So Burdens of the Past has yet to impress me in any other matchup, but I'm kind of still putting in the deck here for Enigma, and the card is just kind of sweet in general. Yeah, but currently no changes to the list. I think the list is pretty solid right now. Kind of a happy kind of mix between a lot of the kind of like factors I look for in deck building. The blue flicks are still impressive. Like I think this list is actually quite solid. I also don't notice a ton of difference between the Hunter Winds and the Biting Breeze, but like hitting a random Hunter Winds off an Ancestral Army always feels good. So I think the Hunter Winds are here to stay, even though I'm not a super big fan of those into like the new matchup, for instance. But the rest of the deck seems pretty good. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into some games. All right, we got a Cindra, so they're gonna choose to go first or second. I imagine they're gonna have us go first. Okay, that makes sense. We want all of our reactions to this matchup. We cut our 2 blocks, and then I think we also cut our CNCs in this matchup, just because they're very rarely gonna have an Arsenal in this matchup. I think trimming down like 1 Burdens of the Past is also like kind of fine. Just running a few less blues than normal seems okay. All right, kind of a bricky first hand, but we'll make the best of it here. So we have 2 options here. We can either Arsenal blue and like play kind of inefficiently to the point where we're basically kind of almost IPing ourselves, or we can just like send aspect. Maybe just sending aspect's fine. Like we're not sending damage with this hand anyways, so maybe just getting max filtering here and then Arsenaling a blue is probably the best thing we can kind of hope for here. I've also kind of discovered a very important heuristic in this matchup, which is that if your opponent has like Flick and Blood Splattered available, they basically have access to an extra chain link with daggers. I think I misplayed earlier against a Cindra where I basically like blocked on chain link 1, assuming they had like 3 cards in hand, and I forgot that they can do like Flick a Kunai and then use a Kunai as like an extra chain link. So it's definitely something you kind of got to be a little bit careful about though. All right, let's go ahead and arsenal our blue, which we're very happy with. Blue Harmony Hunt's also a pretty decent arsenal. All right, this hand I'm not in love with, but it's probably pretty passable. All right, we have Ignite coming in, sure. So most likely we're going to try to block out Chain Links 3 and 4 with this hand, and I think we're just going to play out the Harmony Hunt. Arsenal Flick is the plan. We do lose out on our blue and Arsenal, but it's kind of okay. So we're not going to block Chain Links 1 and 2 here, which are just Dagger plus Ignite. And then we should have pretty full coverage of Chain Links 3 and 4 here, so I'm not super worried that they're going to be able to push over. The worst case scenario is like they have like Snatch or something weird here, but we should be able to just cover this with Flick. All right, so go ahead and Flick here. So now they should respond with their own Flick knives here. Yep. Flick and Flick. Right, let's see if they gain a resource. If they do gain a resource here, I'm probably inclined to... Actually, I don't know what I would do if they gain a resource. Because it probably means they want to play a 1 cost here, like a breaking point. It's definitely interesting. But we can still just block Chainlink 4 and probably be fine here. So we're even like kind of immune from ancestral empowerment here, unless they like random hit one off the top, which would be kind of gross. But seems like a pretty safe line here. We can send 5 on our turn, which is not incredibly impressive, but we do get to keep the Flick and Arsenal. Okay, they do have a Throw Dagger. It's not a card that is normally in the Redline Cindra list, but pretty decent here, honestly. Because it means they now get to continue his chain and then also reset both their daggers. Definitely a solid include, especially if you're like trying to hedge against like Jarl or whatever. All right, we'll pass here. All right, a hot on their heels. It's kind of weird here. I almost want to like Harmony Hunt Kakara. No, that's still super weird. Maybe we honestly just like IP here, or like we can block with Flick Flack and then just like pitch Key Unleashed and try to draw Transcend as fast as possible. I think those are kind of like the two options here. Maybe just like getting the Tiger in Arsenal is like fine though. Losing out on the Flick feels weird, but I think that we do ultimately just want to try to find Transcend as fast as possible here. So I think we're kind of okay with this. All right, let's go ahead and start with the Harmony Hunt. We are losing 2 damage if we don't play the Tiger. And I think this deck normally does run like 3 breaking points. I'm not sure if this is the Brody list in general, but I think the Redline version normally does run like 3 breaking points. I feel like Arsenal Tiger here is like probably unnecessary. Like we're basically losing out on like 2 damage. So I think we will just play it here. It's a little bit like inefficient, but our hand kind of sucked, so it's kind of fine here. All right, go ahead and pass it back. We do unfortunately give them a lot of tempo here just because of our kind of weaker line that we had. All right, we find Transcend, which is good. We also find Tiger Eye, which is a very powerful card against Cindra. So we'll see no blocks here. So my hope here is that we don't have 2 4 attacks, because if we have at least 1 4 attack, then we can cover it. If there's 2, then it gets a little bit dicier. All right, so I think we should be able to cover here, unless they have like empowerment or something weird. But we'll go ahead and try to block on Chainlink 2, I think. It's also pretty not risky. I guess it maybe is a little risky depending on like the 1 cost they might have. Let's see. Gaining a resource or not gaining a resource? Not gaining a resource, sure. Okay, so we don't have 1 cost here. Yeah, so I think I'm just supposed to block here. They have empowerment, they have empowerment. Not a whole lot to be done. Yeah, I wonder if they could actually punish me with like Flick Knives, gain a resource, attack with Kunai or something. Gonna have to be a weird turn though. Alright, let's go ahead and attack with Underwinds here. But the third dagger is pretty spicy. Definitely a decent include, I think. Alright, go ahead and Rising Sun. Draw Pathful Traveled and bottom it, which I'm not in love with, but I guess we always have the opportunity to redraw into it later. And I think we'll probably just play out Chase the Tail line here. Could also like get Mauling Key and then Arsenal Tiger. It's probably not better, right? Maybe we should just get our 7 damage while we can. So now our armor is also turned on, so hopefully our next couple turns are a little bit smoother. All right, we'll pass back. All right, another pretty mid hand, if I'm being honest. But it still may be workable. All right, we have the L10 Strike, Fire 10 Strike Fist coming. Or I keep saying Fire 10 Strike Fist, but it's Fire 10 Strike First. Very weird card in my brain. All right, so I think our plan here is to block on Chainlinks 3 and 4 because it's pretty likely that Chainlink 2 is going to be buffed. Okay, this is kind of weird though. So they're pitching a yellow here. Attacking with Kunai. 2 cards in hand. Interesting. I think we're still supposed to say no blocks on the Kunai, although we could like block with Traverse. I think our plan is to still block on links 3 and 4. It's just not what I expected here. Alright, we're popping our fealty, sure. Into Art of Dragon Blood. Oh, whoop, sorry. Whoop. I think I might have passed a little too fast there. Right. Yep, go ahead. It's a pass. Let's block with Pouncing Key and the Unleashed, I think, are the blocks. Alright, they do have Empowerment here, which is a little bit unfortunate, but not much to be done. Sometimes they just draw it, and it's kind of painful. So, unfortunately, they're going to get a card draw here, but it's okay. I think our hand's kind of mid to the point where we're maybe even just fine blocking out this turn and just trying to set up an arsenal. Especially if they're just like swinging with kunai, which is kind of like not a super efficient use of resources generally. Just kind of depends what they have. Right, Blood Run Steep, pretty good. Definitely a pretty strong turn from them. But we still have a lot of resources to work with here, so I'm not too scared. Right, it's finishing on another Art of Dragon Blood. So the question is, do we want to like try to Arsenal Harmony here? Because we're probably going to end up just sending a 2-card 7 and then just trying to kind of wait for a better turn is my opinion. So I think we're just fine taking this. All right, they click here, which makes a lot of sense. Sure. So we're going down to 16. We send 7 at them, putting them down to effectively 18. Now we still have 6 armor to work with, so we're about even on life totals, although they do have a pretty firm hold of the tempo here, I think. I think if we can deny mass trigger next turn, though, we're going to be in like a pretty good spot. It does feel weird also like holding on to Ancestral Harmony because I'm not a huge fan of it in Arsenal. But like it's pretty good if you get like Transcend, obviously. But definitely a little bit of a scary spot to be in. Blue Lava Bane Loyalty. Okay, so we're not like a fully redline Cindra deck. It looks like they do run some amount of blues. Oh, it looks like they're even bricking here. Okay. So this is maybe the drawback, I guess, of running a lot more blues in Cindra, as you do often kind of draw into some hands that are maybe a little bit less desirable than normal. But we have an excellent hand here, I think. So they go Ignite, Kunai, that. We block with like Traverse and Wax on at some point. So actually, if we block with Traverse on the Kunai chain link, that means they can't really mask. But they should be able to like easily get a mask, if assuming they go for Kunai. So they don't have a dagger on the active chain link, so they have to pitch 1. So I think we are supposed to just pop Traverse here. There's definitely like a world where we can still get punished by like Breaking Point or whatever, but I think that's probably the best opportunity to use our mask to block out the mask trigger, or use our Traverse to block out the mask trigger. All right, Rising Resentment coming in. We probably do want to block like eventually, but I'm kind of just holding back resources for 1 cost, so in case they go 1 cost, we can play like block with Harmony and Kasaya and still be in a fine spot. Same thing we'll say no blocks to this. All right, are we gaining a resource? We're not gaining a resource. Sure. Although I guess they could just banish the Rising Resentment if they really wanted a resource. All right, finishing on a Lava Burst. Sure. So Wax On's obviously pretty efficient here. Yeah, we could just start YOLOing out some harmonies. That's always kind of fun. Sure. Let's go ahead and just wax on this. I think it's probably a little too efficient. Like, ideally, I'd like to try to, like, Arsenal the wax on here just for, like, a future threat, but this is probably good enough, I think. Alright, let's start with the Arsenal YOLO, I guess. Okay. Do we want to YOLO the second one? So we're getting at least +2 value, and if we hit something, we're getting obviously a lot more. How many combo cards are in deck? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 out of 26, 20. We have one more in hand, so it's 19 out of 42. It's pretty below average. But I am good at this game, so YOLO. YOLO. Okay, we got it. So that's like basically turning each into +6, which is not even that good. It's like fine. It's like decent, I guess. So I think well, Pouncing Paws is the same thing as an Arsenal Tiger, so there's no point in like trying to Arsenal Tiger as opposed to keeping Pouncing Paws here. Alright, so let's just send a good old fashioned chase aspect at them with another aspect to boot. So how much damage is this? This is 6 plus 5. 6, 5, 5 plus another 4. So that's 20. So we should be forcing a resource out of them here. And if we can force like a block on an armor or just a block from hand in general, Cindra gets a lot worse the less resources she has. And we still also have access to our armor, which blocks 4, which is about on par with theirs. So I think we have successfully managed to kind of take back the tempo here a little bit. So now they're forced to block with either one card from hand or a piece of armor, like a Blood Splatter or Flick Knives, but then we don't have to worry about those for the rest of the game, which is really nice. If I'm them here, I feel like I want to block with like Blood Splattered. I'm not 100% on that. I feel like it is Blood Splatter though. I mean, it depends, I guess, on like what's in their hand, maybe. But Blood Splatter is like pretty mid sometimes. Oh, they're gonna give a card instead. Alright. I think I'm happier with a card than armor, honestly. Maybe I'm not. I guess it depends on like if they have like one cost in hand, obviously the armor is a little bit better because they can get a resource, but ooh la la. Very nice hand. Alright, so we have an Oath of Loyalty coming in. You know, it's kind of funny. If we block this with like Kasaya plus Shuko, they can't really close the chain, right? Because then they can close the chain if they want to. And I guess there's no point in blocking now, right? I don't think we want to make a Zen state here in an ideal world. Right, ignite. So they do 2/1/1. It's still like fine though, right? They can 2 flick dagger. So it's only 4 damage, and then like I'm trying to think of like what card they have to have like a breaking point or something to like actually force a card out of me, I think. Yeah, so I think we'll just pass here. Alright, Blood Run Steep is pretty good. Could actually stuff a lot of damage here. We could stuff 3 damage if we want to pop Kasaya. And then I guess the question, so they flick, they rebuy daggers. Oh, and then they send daggers at me. So we should totally Zen state this, right? Yes. So when this attacks hero, each dagger you control deals 1 damage to them. If damage is dealt this way, So we there's not like an opportunity for them to like pay to sack the dagger, right? So we should do this in response. My stir the pot has left me for some reason. All right, double transcend, gain some resources, and then this now makes their play to try to kill me a lot worse. They will still basically be threatening a card draw here, though. It's kind of interesting. So I think I actually have to go up Shuko, which kind of blows, but still not the end of the world because they're not doing anything afterwards, right? So we're basically safe from anything else here if we block with Shuko. I didn't want to Zen state this originally, and maybe it was kind of greedy to not do so. But I think that like if they don't have like Blood Run Steep or something like as good as Blood Run Steep, there like their turn gets like substantially worse. All right, let's go ahead and pop levels. Probably just grab a chase anyways, right? Might not be super efficient to do so though. You can also do buff. You can do buff go Tiger Swipe, or we can do draw go Tiger Swipe. Which one's better? I feel like draw go Tiger Swipe's pretty good because they're kind of incentivized to block out here if they can. So let's do Drago Shuko Tiger Swipe. Okay, that actually changes things now because now I think we can kill them with the Easter draw. So if we did buff go, they have to block with mask plus card. That doesn't really kill them. It's kind of interesting. I think there are maybe a couple different options here. So let's pop Kakara. I think we can just kill here though, or we should be able to kill, right? Because we do 2-1. They have 4 armor though. Ace doesn't kill. 2-1 4. So they block here. They block 1 on here. They have 3 and 1 for 4. B strike. So if they have 2-3 blocks in hand, they don't die, I think, right? But I guess we'll see what's going on. All right, take him down to 1. For effectively a 5, rather. So now this should force 3 block plus armor piece, and then E-Strike should force... I think they're just dead. Unless this card is 4 block in hand, right? I think I mismasked it. This should just be lethal. If they have a 4 block in hand, it's still not bad. Alright, so let's just end it with the full pump. So unless they have 4 block here, they die. Alright, that is not a 4 block, unfortunately. Display of Loyalty would be a lot better if it was a 4 block. Alright, but that was actually probably one of the closer Cindra games I've had in a while. I think that throw dagger was actually kind of spicy. Just being able to kind of continue the mass momentum chain where normally you would expect the chain to not continue is kind of cool. Alright, seems like we got our opponent there. So that was a pretty good game. Let's see if we can get another. Alright, so we got another Cindra. Let's choose to go second into Cindra, and then I think we're running the same game plan as before, right? So board in our reacts, board out our 2 blocks. And then I forget what else. We board out CNCs, and then I think it was one more burdens, I think was the board. Alright, let's try like this, see how it goes. I do in general like going second in Cindra, even though on average I think you leak about 5 damage. But I think the filtering that you often gain is kind of worth that. Alright, pretty good opening hand, honestly. Unless they don't attack, then it gets a little bit worse. Alright, we got a brand with Cinderclaw here. We also have a fan of the channel, so I will do my best to get you in this video. But let's go ahead and just block 3 here. I just want to get max filtering here. Alright, Ancestral Empowerment coming in. Pretty decent. Kind of interesting that you're using it on this chain link instead of like chain link 2 or 3, but it could make sense depending on what your hand is. So I think we're going to go ahead and go for the double block here. You could have another Empowerment. That'd be kind of spicy. But I think I'm going to try to do like block 4 here, block 5 on the next chain link, and then we'll probably just leak whatever remainder damage there is. But this should be pretty good from our end, just getting max filtering here. Ooh, the Blood Runs Deep is a very good punish here, though. So I think I'm now supposed to actually just let you have the draw here. Just because, like, I think saving the 5 block for whatever you do kind of afterwards is maybe worth it. But Blood Runs Deep is a pretty nasty kind of punish for kind of how I blocked here. Maybe I was actually supposed to let Chainlink 1 kind of just go through. I feel like I definitely been getting punished a lot by like Blood Runs Deep lately. But even if you draw a card here, it's still maybe fine. It's not great, obviously. All right, let's go ahead and block 5 here. If you want to go off an Arsenal, I think I'm okay if you leak a bit of damage. Obviously, Snatch here kind of sucks, but Lava Burst is also not ideal. All right, so we leak 10 damage here, which is pretty rough. I think not blocking on that first chain link probably sets us up pretty well. But we at least have a good hand to kind of snap back at you. So let's go ahead and pitch to Harmony Hunt, and we do have to preserve in response. So let's grab our Chase Tail back in the deck. Let's then pitch it here. So we'll make our second Tiger, and I think we still just want Chase, even though we're losing on Kakara, maybe. It's about the same damage, isn't it, right? Because we do 1-4-4, which is, or no, 1-4-3, which is 8, versus 2-1-5, or 2-2-4, which is about the same. So I guess we should just get Swipe here, because it's kind of equivalent damage. And we can also kind of make the breakpoints a little bit more annoying, I guess. But definitely a really good starting Cindra turn from you. For what it's worth, you also didn't have an Arsenal, so like an Arsenal is generally worth about like 4 or 5 damage. So you playing out Lava Burst kind of makes sense there, just because you're basically getting the values worth out of Lava Burst. All right, we even up the light totals here a little bit, and we also get a React in Arsenal to hopefully try to block you out a little bit next turn. Okay, this hand is pretty bad though. I guess we can try to filter a Sink Blow here. So I definitely want to filter one of these Wax-Ons, maybe. All right, we got the Lava Vein Loyalty. I think we say no blocks on this either. I think we're going to try to go for Chainlinks 3 and 4 as the blocks. Although blocking on Chainlink 2 is also maybe decent. Problem is, like, our hand is weird. All right, it's hot on their heels. I think that's fine. So let's go ahead and try to go for the Sink Blow on this. Let's sink one of our Wax-Ons, I think is fine. We could also sink the Blue Flick and try to find something a little bit better. I think it's between these two. Depends, I guess, what you do with this last card. I think I'm going to sink the React, though. Because I feel like you're more likely to try to play this card than to try to Arsenal it, just because of, you know, the nature of Masking Momentum. All right, we're not getting a resource here, so it doesn't mean 1 cost. Yeah, this hand's really awkward. We could, like, try to do something off this hand, but it is not ideal here. Yeah, like, if we choose to block here, what we're basically doing is sending, like, Kakara plus that. I guess we just probably need to crack Traverse here, like this. But it feels pretty bad to do so. I think our hand is just, like, that bad that we kind of need to do this, though. And maybe we can YOLO something off the top of Harmony. I've only seen one combo card. So Harmony actually has, like, relatively high chance of fitting. I think it's above 50%, which is kind of wild. Is it above 50%? I think it is above 50%. So we have one combo card here, one combo card here. So it's 24. Oh no, it's not, it's slightly below 50%. Because I think it's 24 out of 49. There might be cards we pitched to. Whatever, we're just gonna rip it though. All right, hit 100 wins. That's actually like probably the best case scenario. Sure. Now we can either get Breed Anger here, or we can get Chase the Tail and use our Pouncing Paws, which is better. I feel like I'm leaning towards Breed just so we save the Pouncing Paws. But we also have 3 Chase the Tails in the deck. I think it's maybe still just Breed, though. This hand was, like, mega suspect, though. Like, we didn't hit that 100 wins. That 100 wins might have actually been one of the better hits in the deck just because it turns on Winds of Eternity. Yeah, it's kind of disgusting. We do at least get to even up the life totals here a little bit. And we also get to sit on Waxon and Arsenal, which is pretty strong against Cindra. Alright, so we shuffle back our blue 100 wins, which is not ideal, but getting a deck shuffle is sometimes okay. I guess we already got one with activating Zen, but this hand's okay. Not great, not bad. I think it's okay. Like, what we can do here is we can maybe do, like... Actually, I don't know what we want to do with this hand. Yeah, your first turn was, like, really good, actually, here. Your first turn I might have punted, honestly, by trying to get, like, a little aggressive on Chainlink 1. But, alright, we have Oath Loyalty coming in here. I think we're just supposed to say no blocks on this. Alright, then we have Ignite into Kunai into 2 other attacks, potentially. It's definitely pretty good. Right, following up with the Run and Renegade. So it's kind of interesting here that you're not using Kunai. Because unfortunately, Run and Renegade does eat the Ignite effect, which is pretty good. And maybe there's a reason you're not using Kunai, though. Let's go ahead and just block with, I think, Pouncing Key here. Alright, we go for a Pluck here. It's pretty good. Now let's see what the follow-up is. Alright, we're not activating Blood Splatter, which maybe indicates that we have like a 0 cost in hand. Alright, finishing with a Brand with Cinder Claw. So I think you might have missed 1 damage here just by not activating Kunai. But maybe you just wanted to like keep both Kunai for a later turn. Can't necessarily fault you for that. Alright, let's go ahead and just block 3 here. And I think we're going to just send 7 at you. And I think just hold on to our Wax. Use it at a ideally more kind of opportune time. But 2 into 5 is not bad. Alright, send in the levels, go for buff. So you go to 9, I'm at 15, but you still have your full suit of armor, which is a little bit scary. I am happy to see some blocks out of you, though, which maybe indicates your next turn's not super strong. Alright, our hand's like semi-decent. Nothing crazy. So you have Fire Tenant Strike first on top. And then what do we want to do on our turn? Probably just Kakara plus E-Strike, so we could probably just wax on this if we really want to. You could like try to punish me with like a Snatch here, but I'm maybe kind of okay with that because using Flick is not terrible. Alright, Art of the Dragon Blood. I think we'll just go ahead and block 3 here because like if we're sending 2 at you, that's not as good as getting 3 block here, so want to maximize the value there. And we'll go ahead and just send another 2 card 7 at you. It's kind of an interesting state in the game where Zen's kind of 2 card 7s can sometimes kind of go toe to toe with Cindra's stuff. Although this hand's like kind of whatever. This hand's fine. Alright, so I think we're gonna no block on the first chain link here. Maybe even no block on the second chain link. Depends on what it is, I guess. Alright, Ronin Renegade. So we could block 4 here and then block 5 on the next chain link. That's kind of tempting. I do want to use like Tiger Eye Reflex at some point though. Yeah, it's definitely weird. So maybe say no blocks on this and see what happens. Alright, we got a Brand. So I think we'll now contest the Brand with Tiger Eye Reflex. Alright, so we flick here, so we continue the Mask Momentum chain. That seems pretty good. If we get a 1 cost here, it's actually kind of bad for me because Flick doesn't normally fully cover 1 cost. All right, finishing on a Blaze Headlong. So I think we'll go ahead and Flick this and then just try to do a play out chase aspect on our turn. All right, Rebuy Dagger makes sense. Yep, so we'll go ahead and just do our chase aspect. It's a little bit unfortunate we didn't have the extra blue for Sacred Art, but Sacred Art be like that sometimes. Let's go ahead and start with the Tiger, though. And then I think we get to Arsenal Tiger here, which is pretty strong. Right, we get you down to 2 cards, 2 damage, and then you still have your full equipment suite. So we're kind of a little bit even here, except I think I have a little bit more tempo than you, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and Arsenal Tiger here just to set ourselves up for next turn. Draw into some Transcend cards, which is pretty decent. We have Display Loyalty on top. We have Ravenous Rebel in hand. We have React in hand. So I think we should be good to just try to soak this up. So let's go ahead and just sink here. And I don't think there's a real reason to sink, so we won't. All right, let's go ahead and pass. And then I think this should probably get there. Let's go ahead and double transcend. And then I think we'll start with Tiger, play out Chase the Tail, and then maybe send Kakara, depending on what you do. I mean, you pretty much have to block here, so I probably am going to just end up sending Kakara. All right, activate Zen, grab our Chase. Double 2 block is a little bit rough, unfortunately. And then let's send in Kakara plus Tiger, and that should, I think, get most of the way there. I think if it doesn't kill, at least strips armor plus card, I think. Yeah, because we're coming in for 5 here. So you have to have a 4 block plus a 1 block. Or plus a flick. I think that might be GG's. Oh, you go to 1. Wait, how did I miscalculate that? Oh, we got 3. That might have been it. Okay, so we don't kill you here. For some reason I thought this killed, but maybe not. Alright, this hand almost assuredly will, though. I think I'll just go again 0 cost here and then park the path while travel Arsenal, but I don't think you probably can survive this, unfortunately. Got 2, 1, 5, 5. Pretty rough. Yeah, but definitely not a bad first game on Cindra. Like, I think you've got like most of the like fundamentals in the engine down. I think that maybe the biggest thing is just like missing little points of chip here and there. But I think like from my experience, I think this matchup is definitely like Zen favored. GG's. Yeah, but definitely like pretty good game from your end. Like I think that for the most part you were doing things like pretty correctly. I think that a couple times it might have been like more right to kind of like just like block out and try to like not attack into me so I don't get like de-react value and stuff. I don't know exactly like what point of the game that was. I'd have to watch it back, but your turn 1 was like borderline insane. That turn 1 was pretty kind of devastating, at least from my perspective, because you just had like Blood Runs Deep, which was able to kind of like guarantee your mass trigger. I think that maybe the play that I was supposed to do there was like not block with a card on like Chain Link 1 and maybe just save it for a future Chain Link and leak a little bit of damage. But I think that was probably more correct from my end. Definitely kind of an interesting learning game. The only thing that I saw that was like maybe incorrect from your side was like I think attacked with Ignite at this point or some other point, and then you like didn't send your you didn't send your kunai or whatever, which maybe is just like a missed point of damage and maybe like a missed like mask momentum Chain Link. But I think you'll kind of get used to that as you kind of like learn the deck a little bit more. Because I think you said you were this is the first time playing the deck, so definitely it takes a little bit of practice. I think this is the Brody list because I think the yellow brand with Cinderclaw kind of gave it away. Yeah, but this list I think is like pretty straightforward. You kind of just like do your thing, set up your engine, and kind of just like outvalue over time. For what it's worth, I do think that Zen is like very favored in this matchup, so I wouldn't feel too bad if you end up losing against Zen sometimes, because just I think my burst damage and my armor kind of just like allows me to negate a lot of your mass triggers, and the D-reacts kind of also help with that as well. But yeah, overall, like pretty decent game from your side. I think maybe like Blood Splatter Vest also didn't get a ton of value that game, but maybe there wasn't a ton of like opportunity just based on how I think there are a lot of one costs that I think ended up just being in your deck, right? So you have like one cost here, one 5. Yeah, I think like 6 one costs in your deck at some point. So maybe just is a little bit of an unfortunate variance. And I think you only drew into one. No, you drew into two, I think, which maybe didn't give you like exactly the opportunity to use Blood Splatter Vest as you would have liked to. So yeah, I think you still like maybe like this matchup I think is very difficult. So I wouldn't be like too upset if you end up like losing it. I think that Cindra can high roll definitely pretty hard in this matchup, but Zen has a lot of like defensive tools that you can use to kind of like negate a lot of that high roll. So hope that kind of like helps, but I think you played it like pretty well. So let's wrap it up there for today. So I think we played against some Cindra and some Jarl, which I think are going to be two pretty popular decks in the RTN season, at least around kind of like my local area. Cindra is, I think, a pretty good matchup for Zen, and we did play against like I think two different kind of Cindra builds, which were both kind of pretty interesting. One of them is obviously the Brody build, the other is kind of like the more bluer deck. Definitely both seem pretty good for Zen overall, though. I think I do need to get a little bit better about blocking too early in the chain, because you can definitely get punished by Cindra like super hard if you block too early and they end up having a like Blood Runs Deep. I think is the card I get like punished by the most. But overall, this list has been feeling like pretty solid. Still haven't seen Burns the past do anything, but we might just leave it in here for a meme because it's kind of funny. But yeah, anyways, I think we're gonna wrap it up there for today. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.